And we're back. Sorry about the wait, folks. It's been about, a day since we did our last reading. We're just gonna resume our reading of Chapter 6. To give a roll call, we have Maidagoof, Zeta, Eric, and is there someone else here? Oh yeah, and our favorite user in the VC, Music Disc. Say hi to Music Disc, everyone.
Hello, Music Disc.
Hello, Music Disc.
Hello. But yeah, let's just get started with Chapter 6, The Song in Our Heart, which sounds like the title of a romance movie from the 2000s.
It was banned.
That was banned. Somehow, I just cannot be able to paint anything. That's already a good first sentence. I know I have not run out of ideas. After all, I am the creation itself. It must be because I am currently angry at Mr. Dark, who happened to reveal delicate information about our connection. Most probably, the enemies of culture are not able to use that at their advantage, but that creature of darkness certainly deserves punishment by my divine light. It will not soon make that kind of mistake again. It knows that I can destroy it permanently. I'm assuming this is Neligus speaking. I don't know. But it was not the only reason for the punishment of Mr. Dark. It also tried to destroy Rayman. I thought I was clear with everyone. Rayman could be a valuable ally because he is the champion of gods and a respected hero. Wait, respected hero? The champion of gods? That is it! I have it! Inspiration fills my mind! Dally, I own this sweeper brush to you. Look, Chaggle, how beautifully these colors play with each other. Yes, Magritte. Magritte? How do you pronounce that? You can also feel my dedication, my pure love, and the forces of eternity that creates this piece of art greater than the life itself. Yes, there it is. The painting so mighty and divine that even William Blake would be proud of it. All the great minds that are long gone, just look how I respect your undeniable talent. I even gave myself the fifth finger, just show... Wait, what? I even gave myself the fifth finger, just show my inextinguishable appreciation for the creative creation power of the humankind. When I have conquered your world, you will not have to fear for the monstrosity that is anti-art, to eat the foundations of your culture ever again. Finally, every being in the universe will work to reach one goal, their one true and the only meaningful purpose: creation. Why, Rayman, Polygus, and the rest of the rebels cannot understand my noble purpose? Why those anti-citizens stand against all that is right for us all? Why do they insist to be cast out of society for all eternity?
Look, I even gave myself the fifth finger.
I can even give myself the fifth finger. I don't know if that's like a metaphor or if he's literally saying like, yeah, every other Rayman character has 4 fingers. I have 5. Here is my artistic creation, which I would like to call the burden of the champion, said Neligus, whose white painted cloth was covered by colorful drops of paint. Now tell me your opinion. Oh shit. Andre looked at the work painted by Neligus and was confused. Just recently, he was appointed as the leader of Culture Cop's critic department, even though he had no idea what any of those words meant. Neligus had said he trusted Andre's fast learning and skills. After all, he was partly Neligus's creation. He had to actually read. Oh no! The mere thought of reading the mere thought of reading something made him shiver. Many books about different art types from different time periods from a completely different planet, so he could evaluate many works of art. Andre, however, thought it would be wiser to please his new boss, as his current position gave many pleasant advantages. Okay, hold on. What the fuck is going on here? So, like, Andre... I'm trying to remember. Wasn't Andre, like, unemployed in the previous chapters? But now he's, like, an art critic? Andre had to admit the painting certainly looked impressive. He, however, had no idea what Nelicus was trying to say with it. He guessed that the disfigured, limbless man, who looked quite strained and unsure, was Rayman himself. Then there were two skeletal hands, golden and silver, which were reaching for Rayman. Noticeable was that the silver hand's palm was open, like it was offering something. Then there were yellow, purple, and black swirling lines, and lots of some creatures that looked like teetsies supporting the golden hand, and creatures looking like rabbits supporting the silver hand. Andre was sure that the painting represented surrealism, which he hated the most because it was so hard to understand and required thinking. There is only one thing Andre was absolutely sure about. His new boss was completely messed up. Well, Andre started and pondered his words. It's a great work of art, I guess. It catches well the atmosphere of Rayman's pain caused by the struggle between you and Polygus. I knew I could figure out that symbolism. It holds deeper meanings that your short answer led us to understand, Nalika said, giving constructive criticism.
This is...
Hello.
Wow, that's a lot of words.
I'm not going to give an extensive recap of what happens. I would just follow along with Nalicus's mindset and let the work speak for itself.
Yep.
But we cannot expect any deeper analysis at the beginning of your studies. Say which art ranking you would give to the burden of the champion? High art, Andre replied. Correct. Everything done by me can be automatically valued as high art. I'd like to go, Andre said. I still have lots to study. In reality, Andre wanted to rearrange few things so he could start reproducing his "Wanna kick Rayman? Train yourself" learning DVDs. He enjoyed making those DVDs about 547 creative ways to smash Rayman, but it was currently so hard because of being both artistically and ethically forbidden. Leave that for now, Nelica said. I have another assignment for you. Rayman and his comrades have now learned that the second mask is placed in the artistic theater. I need extra security in there for the opera of this evening. Yes! Finally some action! Andre cheered. Nelicus was slightly offended by Andre's enthusiastic for not being able to study culture. Andre, however, noticed his master's reaction and corrected. I mean that I wanted to do some cop duty because I used to solve things by straight action. I understand, Nelicus replied. At any rate, you will go with a couple of hoodlums join the robot pirate division of Razorbeard. Wait a sec, Andre interrupted. There's going to be robot pirates as well? I and my hoodlums can handle Rayman and his girlfriend nominees by ourselves. Girlfriend nominees? What?
Ay.
Why do we need robot pirates to hang around? Nelica scolded Andre from his rude attitude towards his fellow creations and explained why. Rayman had to admit... Oh, okay, I guess we're just changing perspective. Okay. Rayman had to admit his mother was a great cook. He guessed it's a mandatory skill for all mothers of the world. It's hard to feel cozy if you're not greeted by the flavor of homemade food. He guessed she must have decorated their apartment as well. The balanced use of bright and dark colors made it feel even bigger. Rayman looked at the other participants in their dinner table. Lee and Batilla were fully enjoying their meals. However, Rayman's father, Rion, ate slowly and unsurely, constantly glancing at him. I forgot that his father is here as well. I thought it was just his mother. He looked to be sturdier than his wife, but the aging has touched him as well. Even though he was at least 10 years younger than Nayla, his hair and goatee were already starting to become grayer. He had briefly asked from his son what he was doing all these years, and had smiled nervously when Rayman had answered, "Saving the world a couple of times." Rayman's swarm of memories revealed that Rayman's swarm of memories revealed that Rion was always a little uneasy with Rayman. Perhaps even he wasn't sure why. He had, however, loved Rayman enough, so Rayman passed Mr. Sack's ambiguous hints as just attempts to mess up with his mind. Rion looked at the other participants at the dinner table and said, "I'd like to continue the conversation about retrieving the second mask." "But darling, we are eating," said Nayla. "Can't those world-saving discussions wait for a while?" "Unfortunately, no," her husband answered. "You are now a wanted person for helping an anti-citizen, so we had to move tonight." Nayla was a little cranky about Rion's choice of words, but admitted he was right, and continued in her motherly manner. "So, the second mask is in the artistic theater. It explains a lot. I've always wondered why there were so many culture cops around that area." Oh wait, no, that was... Wait, was that Rayman or Nayla? What? "Indeed," said Rion. "And tonight it will have more. There is an opera performed. Also, that was a really good impression of me you did back there." "Which opera?" Batilla asked. "The Flight of Moment, if I remember correctly," Lee replied. "Marvelous," Batilla said. "I just love that lyrical writing." "Ladies, focus," Rion interrupted sharply. "Dad, don't be like that," said Rayman, who was really starting to get annoyed by Rion's serious tone. "I know it's a serious matter, but we can have some lighter conversation before." "Nalakas is going to be in the audience," Rion interrupted again. That made everyone at the table quiet and serious. "Yes, the news reported about it just before you showed up. I'm glad you all three agree now that this mission briefing should be taken seriously." It's okay, said Leader Rayman, who was clearly going to comment. She and Batilla had already accustomed to Rion's incredible ability to make the air feel heavier around him, so they knew it was just best to let him to go on. "And that's not all of it," Rion continued. "Mr. Sachs will also attend because his wife, Space Mama, has casted herself as the leading female character. The leading male character is performed by your little cousin, Wayne?" "Who's Wayne?" Little cousin?" asked Rayman amazed. "How many relatives I actually have?" "Also, Durana will be there as the conductor," his father completely ignoring Rayman's question. "Hey, I just asked a simple question about my relatives," said Rayman frustrated. "Can't you even stop your briefing for answering to that?" "I already explained my reason to haste this briefing," Rion said annoyingly calmly. Annoyingly calmly? What does that sound like? "I really hate to repeat myself." "Well, Dad," Rayman answered, mimicking Rion's annoyingly calm tone, "I'd like to remind that I've been in another world for quite a while with all my memory loss, so I would appreciate if you could share some of my history. Trust me, we have plenty of time to run." Rayman's words had interesting effect in his father. It looked his was going inner battle. Should he make a sharp counter argument or be more diplomatic, mixed with fractions of uneasiness and regret? I'm sorry, wait a minute. This is a really weird sentence. I'm gonna save that for myself. Like, "I apologize my bluntness," Rion managed to finally say, "but try to understand. You have only faced Nelika's minions in the past. They are nothing compared to his might and power. Now, if you don't mind, I'd like to continue my briefing." Zeta just typed in Reddit / I had a stroke. Yeah, like, I feel like I was having a stroke reading that. Rayman sat back quietly and let his father continue his speech. There was certainly something pressing Rion's mind, which Rayman was dedicated to find out. The artistic theater differed little from the ordinary style of architecture in the city. It was grand like any other important building, but its classical design made variation to the urban buildings around it. And like with the main building of the culture pages, it too had a ridiculous lack of guards on the roof. That surprised Rayman. One would think that there would be at least some guards, considering how many creatures in the universe can actually fly or levitate. But it wasn't his business to complain. After all, it made it easier for him and his fairy friends to descend in the theater. The thing Rayman, Lee, and Patilla had to do was to go in the building through the unguarded roof, beat all the guards between them and the mask, and retrieve it without anyone noticing. Of course, they had to be extra careful now that Nelicus was rumored to be there, but luckily he no more saw through Rayman's eyes. Or was it carelessness to think that it would be a major disadvantage to him? Rayman smirked at this thought. Now he had started to think like his father. "We are now directly above the theater," said Rayman to Lee, who was carrying him. "You can let go now." The timing for Rayman's command couldn't be any better. Right after Lee let him go, and he started his hair propeller, a rocket came from an open roof window and nearly blasted almost next to them. I think this is the first time that like Rayman uses helicopter hair in his story, right?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. Razorbeard looked at the explosion on the sky. That shot was so miserable that it was required to do a facepalm. It was required to do a facepalm. Okay. All the robot pirates either made the same or just laughed mockingly. Do you idiots even know how rocket launchers work? He asked from Andre while trying to hold the utter rage he was currently feeling. Utterly confused and surprised, Andre, who was dressed in his hoodlum uniform, was lying on the floor with the smoking rocket launcher while all the hoodlums either shook their heads or turned to watch somewhere else. "Damn, that weapon had some kick in it," were Andre's first words when he realized how awesome firepower he was holding in his hands. Then he realized that Razorbeard was mocking him and stood up. "Lay off, Tin Can! Weapons shouldn't be this complicated. We hoodlums have simple weapons. Point them to the target and pull the trigger." "Hoodlum weapons are weak and lame," Razorbeard mocked and took the rocket launcher. "But we built this technology. Of course, you can't understand how this works. Let me show how it's done." "And despite your advanced technology, you couldn't stop Rayman. A little hint for your troops. It doesn't work if you attack one at a time." Wait, a little hint for your troops. It doesn't work if you attack one at a time. Was that like a little comment on like the enemies in Rayman 2 and how boring it is?
Maybe.
Razorbeard wasn't sure where Andre had heard from their old battle tactics, but that certainly made him just want to hit that sack boy straight to face. Wait, what? Oh, wait, I get it now, because like Andre is a hoodlum currently, and that's like, oh, he's like sack boy. But he knew that Nelicus wouldn't really, But he knew that Nelicus wouldn't actually appreciate that, so Razorbeard swallowed his pride for no one instruct Andre in using this awesome firepower. "Anyway, at first you need to set this to homing so he has some change to hit them. Then you need something to prevent you failing from the rocket launcher's kick. You two, come here to support." Two robot pirates went behind Razorbeard and he leaned towards them. "Next, aim with the launcher. They seem to come down slowly, are probably expecting the next rocket. After those steps, you pull the trigger." The rocket flew towards Rayman while Razorbeard almost fell by the kick of his weapon. All of them watched the rocket as it was blown in midair by Rayman's energy shot. Andre didn't make a facepalm. He just laughed from the bottom of his foul heart. Razorbeard couldn't hold his rage any longer. "Fire at will!" he commanded his troops. All the robot pirates started to shoot the heroic trio, who had stopped levitating and started free-falling while shooting back at the pirates. Hoodlums soon joined the fun. However, Andre's and Razorbeard's focus was on the door at the end of the hallway that was opened violently. Space Mama, who was wearing a turquoise bath coat and sandals at the moment, stood there and looked genuinely angry. "Keep that noise down!" she yelled to her colleagues. "The performance is about to begin, and this insane blasting can be heard to the stage." In case you haven't noticed, we have a situation here, Razorbeard yelled back. Their heated conversation was interrupted when Lee crashed into the hallway, constantly firing energy bursts and causing havoc among her enemies. It was surely a daring attempt to charge in like that, but it actually worked. Rayman had stopped free-falling and gently landed by using his hair propeller. Then he noticed a fat, limbless woman, and the usual memories swarmed into his head. 2 battles, victory party, and parted as friends. Without a word, Space Mama ran away. I'll go after her, Rayman informed and went. Wait, Batilla yelled, but Rayman was already gone. Oh, hopefully he doesn't run straight to some trap. Don't worry, I remember how he managed to defeat many robo-pirates without anyone's help, said Lee. But then again, they were attacking one at a time. Oh boy. Stop reminding about that already, Razorbeard raged as he started to recover. We have improved our tactics from those days, so everyone just shut up! Andre also stood up and he was not pleased. Ah, the only one I had a personal grudge on has escaped. I didn't even know those 2 gals. That's merrier to me then. I have equally bad experiences about both of them, and I have certainly waited for this opportunity. It seems to me, Batilla, that you have to get punishment for turning down my offer. Not going to happen, Batilla said, determined. Both of the sides glared at each other, ready to engage in combat. Rayman felt sorry for leaving Batilla and Lee, but he was sure they were capable of taking care of themselves. Now it was important to reach this woman Rayman presumed to be Space Mama, as she might help to retrieve the second mask. His father didn't exactly seem to be tactical genius. Nothing had gone according to the plan he had made, but perhaps he was the only one who made the planning and left improvisation to others. Catching Space Mama was easier said than done. Even though Rayman used his super speed, there were plenty of traps, robo-pirates, and hoodlums in the stairs, hallways, and basically everywhere to slow him down. And for someone so heavy, Space Mama managed to do quite long and smooth jumps. Hey now. Luckily, there weren't almost bottomless pits this time. After a while, Space Mama finally ran to her dressing room where Rayman was able to corner her. Rayman could hear the theater hall that was full of people. That running power was annoying even in the last time. I fought you, said Space Mama exhausted. Hadn't you lost it at some point? But now it is back, answered Rayman, who was still ready to combat. You're going to help me in getting Polika's second mask. I am? I don't see any reason why I should help our greatest enemy to undo this wonderful world. Come to your senses already. I'm not your enemy. In fact, I remember you as friend when I last time saw you. Was that a lie? It really seems... Oh, Space Mama speaking, okay. It really seems to bother you that I and my husband, Mr. Sachs, are voluntarily in the Culture Council, Space Mama said in a tone that used for explaining kids some fancy stuff like how mountains are made. What? But think of this from our point of view. We lived in environments like Bandland and Picture City, full of magnificent opportunities to be creative. Many didn't share this passion, and it was really frustrating. Sure, Nelicus can sometimes use rough methods like brainwashing, but he has built a world where we don't feel to be complete strangers. You didn't answer my question. For a moment, Space Mama was silent. No, that wasn't a lie, she said completely sincerely. Suddenly, Rayman's feet started to surprisingly smoothly move against his will right towards the stage. Rayman didn't even feel any pain that he had felt during the 2 previous times Nelicus had took control of him. Hello, Jester. How's it going?
Hey, Chester.
Hello.
It seems our grand performance is about to begin, said Space Mama. Excuse me, but I have to change my outfit now. It wouldn't be appropriate if I would run around naked. What the fuck?
What?
Isn't Mr. Sachs technically naked?
I mean,
He has a point.
I guess. By the way, I need to ask actually. Is that actually a thing that like Space Mama and Mrs. Sax are like a couple, or is that just something made up for this story?
That's made up.
Okay.
Though I did not realize it was Mr. Sachs talking. I thought it was still Space Mala since she was in a towel before, but
Yeah. Isn't Mrs. Sax technically naked? Question of the century right here. Rayman left Space Mama to ponder that thought while his feet forced him to step to the stage. The audience, that consisted of many familiar and unfamiliar creatures, started to whisper with each other's when Rayman appeared to his spotlight's target. It seemed like they weren't sure was the man they saw really Rayman or just an actor. Wow, this actor has no limbs. They're so dedicated to his role. They were sure that this wasn't part of the original play they had come to watch. The only one who didn't seem surprised was Mr. Sachs, who was sitting in the front row. Rayman looked around him to see if Nellicus was there, but didn't find him. It was odd, because how else Nellicus could have controlled his legs so easily unless he was personally there. What he did find, however, was the mask of Polycus he had seen before in the Sanctuary of Rock and Lava, not to be confused with the Sanctuary of Stone and Fire. In the set decoration, it has, however, too high even for his energy blast to hit. When Rayman looked at the orchestra, he strangely enough weren't surprised. Rayman saw Durana and saw someone else he recognized. Memories swarm into his head, and he looked this bearded Romanian who was holding a guitar. He remembered that he had to help this man to make a new guitar from rock because his previous one was destroyed, and in return this man had given Rayman a potion that gave him super helicopter powers. The man looked back at him and seemed to be quite sorry for Rayman. Another spotlight was lit. It revealed a young Romanian man, at least 5 years younger than Rayman, who was dressed in a uniform that was mostly used by culture cops. Rayman suspected him to be Wayne, but he didn't receive that many memories about him. He hadn't interacted with his little cousin much. In fact, he had seen him maybe twice or 3 times in family meetings and such. Rayman remembered Wayne as Pit, of an annoyance, and bratty, but who deep down meant well. Then, happened something Rayman didn't expect. Happened something. That's... As the orchestra started to play, Wayne started to sing in incredible opera voice.
Ladies and gentlemen, hear me. May I have your attention, please? For now there has arrived the one who deeds can divide, the champion of goods.
Good job. What? Rayman asked, utterly confused. This caused mild laughter from the audience.
There have been so many of these years that word of return made me doubt my ears.
Wayne sang and approached Rayman.
Now let me look at you with my own eyes.
Wayne leaned close to Rayman and whispered,
I'm so glad to see you. Sorry about this, but I have no choice. I'll try to figure out something to get you out of here, but in the meantime, just try and play along. I hope you can sing as well.
I
know he does.
I was going to try and do operatic whispering.
Oh yeah, that's a good point, Zeta, actually. Like, yeah, Rayman can sing pretty well. That would cause a bit of a problem. Rayman had never sung in public before and wasn't sure how rusty his skills in that department were. For now, he thought it would be better just to talk. Good to see you too, I guess.
But pleasantries must be left behind. We must talk from matters that press our mind. How are are you going to defend yourself?
Andre, you're giving the Phantom a run for its money with that voice. Good job.
The Phantom that has no shit on me.
Rayman, when Wayne sang this verse, more Romanians dressed in culture cop uniforms came to the stage and surrounded him. Rayman tried to move his feet, that however stayed heavily on the ground. Stayed? Like
Defend yourself.
the culture cops demanded in song. From what? Rayman asked.
I think this is Space Mama.
Oh, from the crimes against our Lord Nellicus! Sang high and clear, upper voice behind him. Rayman turned and saw Space Mama dressed in her old warrior outfit, wielding a huge wooden rolling pin. When she sang the final long note in her verse, she made a long jump to next to the culture cops and made the stage tremble when her heavy body landed on their feet. The audience cheered for Space Mama's grand entrance. Rayman watched the group around him, who clearly waited him to answer. Do you even want to listen to my point of view? The question Rayman asked made the group forgot for a moment they were performing and stopped to think about themselves. It amazed them how the orchestra notified his small pause. It was like the actors in the orchestra read each other's thoughts. The Space Mama started melancholy, ending her verse dramatically. I am sure it may be very fascinating. I am sure it may be even touching. But the culture must not be ruined. Then the culture cops and Space Mama made really impressive dance and singing number that mostly consisted from Space Mama's solo performance, but was occasionally joined by the chorus. The song itself was pretty much about blaming Rayman and the rebellion in general, while also stating how great, wonderful, and divine Nellicus and his system were. Oh my god, this is some real Phantom shit right here. Wow.
Wow. Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe they read this fanfic and was like,
That's a
I
good
got
idea.
an idea.
Rayman presumed that the culture cops were probably going to arrest him after the number, and even if Rayman resisted, he wouldn't have much of a change against at least 50 culture cops and 3 members of Culture Council. He was certainly going to need help, but Batilla and Lee were currently available, and Wayne seemed to be unable to come up with any plan. Rayman's only hope now was that bearded Romanian from the past. Hopefully he had enough guts to stand against his conductor.
Oh shit, we're about to hear Rayman sing.
Stop that nonsense this instant! Rayman sang to Space Mama. Rayman's throat hurt a little from the high note he made, so he had to cough. While his singing voice wasn't definitely the best one heard tonight, it was average enough to not make people cringe. The group stopped its number and waited for Rayman to sing more. The man with the guitar, please tell me your name that I forgot. The bearded man seemed to be surprised that Rayman didn't remember his name. Musician, the man answered with raspy ballad singer voice. I remember you as a friend, Rayman sang. Why are you with these misguided men? Musician stood up and took a better grip from his guitar. It seemed like he had an answer ready. May I? He asked from Durana. After Durana nodded, Musician started to play gently, while the violin section supported tenderly. I just love music, he sang melancholy while walking to the stage. When he passed Durana, he made a judging look at her that she didn't notice. And I hope you do. I hope you also do. I just love the melody that my instrument can produce. Musician walked to the middle edge of the stage. It clearly looked like he was going to do something dramatic. I just love the freedom to express yourself. Without another word, Musician smashed his guitar straight to Durana's head. Whoa! Hold on. Whoa!
Damn.
Loud gasps could be heard from the audience. I'm sorry, said Musician sadly, clearly talking to his broken guitar.
Rest in peace, man. Rest in peace.
I know the story brought this up, but like in the game, like Rayman repaired his guitar by making a rock out of a guitar, right?
I always thought the guitar was inside the rock
Okay.
for some reason.
So,
like some kind of Excalibur.
That would definitely hurt a lot more.
so like, if that's true, then that would mean that like the musician literally smashed Durana's head with a fucking rock. Jesus.
Ouch.
The culture cops that had previously had surrounded Rayman rushed towards Musician, except for Wayne, who just ran towards dressing rooms. However, Rayman had already started to load Energy Ball, which he used to knock out most of the cops. Those few that weren't hit by unconscious by Rayman or Musician ran away in panic. "Keep playing!" Space Mama yelled to the orchestra. The orchestra started to scramble the notes to find some epic battle music. Part of the audience escaped, while the most daring ones, and those who still wasn't sure was this part of the performance, stayed to watch. Space Mama approached Rayman, who still was unable to move his feet, and pressed a button from her rolling pin to turn it into a laser sword. She tried to strike Rayman, but he started to charge his powers in order to block the attack. Mr. Sachs decided it was time to help and rushed towards the fighting pair. He blew a false note to Rayman, but luckily Musician noticed it in time, used his broken guitar to hit it to Space Mama's head, making her lose her balance. This allowed Rayman to release the energy burst he had loaded to strike Space Mama down. Mr. Sachs went to aid his wife. "Man, I'd never beaten anyone like that before," said Musician to Rayman, clearly being disgusted about the actions he just had to commit. "But why can't you move?" "Nauticus is using his powers to keep me stuck," Rayman explained. "Thanks for help, by the way." "No problem. But we have to get your feet moving, man. Otherwise, the battle against those two will be very difficult." "Yes, but my feet are heavily tied. I just got an idea. Take my hands and pull me." Musician wasn't sure was that going to work, but nevertheless was ready to try. Rayman concentrated all his powers to use his running ability while leaning backward. It happened exactly as he had planned. His feet disconnected from his body and remained tightly on the ground. Meanwhile, Mr. Sachs had already managed to get Space Mama back on her feet. "Why laser sword?" he asked of her. "It doesn't fit your warrior attire." "I know, but swords tend to be too sharp for capturing anyone alive," she explained. "You can actually adjust the power level." "Rayman, did you actually disconnect your own feet?" "As you can see," Rayman answered, "I have to admit, this feels really weird, like my feet would be there, even though they're not." "All the better for us," Mrs. Sachs said, triumphant. "You must use your hands to stand, so you can only shoot small energy balls, those that have no effect on either of us. I expect this to be a quite short battle." "Orchestra, let the fight begin," Space Mama said pompously. Rayman, Musician, Space Mama, and Mrs. Sachs took their fighting positions while the epic battle music started to play. Space Mama shot rapidly at Rayman with her laser rolling pin, but Rayman was able to avoid them. Mr. Sachs shot a false note from his innards. Ew. But Musician used his
Please
guitar
don't
to
describe
hit
it like
the note
that.
back at Mrs. Sachs' horn, which made him to fall. "For crying out loud, stop using those notes!" Space Mama yelled while shooting at Rayman. Mrs. Sachs knew it was time to stop underestimating that hippie and stood up. Damn. This time, he shot a bomb that exploded into 10 smaller notes that attacked and rapidly bit Musician. Rayman rushed to aid his friend to take them away while constantly dodging Space Mama's shots. Rayman remembered Mrs. Sachs' another attack, a bomb that explodes on the ground, and Rayman was sure he would definitely use it next. Rayman could have just used his helicopter to dodge it, but it was necessary to finish this battle. It was very risky, but he had to try it. Rayman shot a small energy ball just at the right time to blow the bomb right at Mrs. Sachs' face, hurting him badly and knocking him down. Space Mama stopped shooting and went to aid her husband. Rayman went to lie on the floor and started to load a massive energy blast. "Push me to space, Mama." Oh wait, no, it's Rayman speaking. Shit. "Push me to space, Mama," he whispered to Musician. Musician pushed Rayman, and while Space Mama was looking down to Mrs. Sachs, he released his energy blast in order to cause massive damage. With trembling power, Space Mama fell. Both of Rayman's adversaries were too weak to fight further. The orchestra noticed this as well and stopped playing. You are right, Rayman sneered to Mrs. Sachs. It came out to be a quite short battle. Shut up, Mrs. Sachs said weakly. Wayne came back from the dressing room to see if the battle was over.
Oh shit! Hold on.
Yep.
I'm sorry for leaving you here, but I'm not an actor. I'm not.
It's okay, Rayman said. Not everyone is a fighter, but Lee and Patilla are here as well. Go and try to find them. For a moment, I thought Rayman was gonna say, not everyone is a fighter. Look at Lee and Patilla.
Damn.
You know.
Way to throw them under the bus. I'll try.
Wayne said and left. I don't think Wayne is doing the opera voice anymore.
I know. I just wanted to do that one last time.
Now I need that mask down, Rayman said. The only thing that could hit the decoration above was Space Mama's laser rolling pin, but she was still holding. Musician, I'm going to need your help to get that rolling pin, he said while approaching her carefully. Oh, just take it, Space Mama said weakly. You put a good fight. Darling, it's not time to get softy, Mrs. Sachs scolded her. I can barely move. We must let him to take that mask, no matter how annoying that may be. You may have it, Rayman, as a favor to old friend. Rayman shot the decoration and it fell. In the midair, its drop speed slowed down with the wooden decoration part dissolving, leaving only the sadly grinning mask. The sadly grinning mask? Rayman's feet were connected back to him while the mask gently approached the round symbol on Rayman's shirt. Just then, Wayne rushed to the stage.
They're not here.
He said. What? Where are they? Are they prisoners?
I don't know.
Rayman, we must go, Musician said. There seems to be some robo-pirates and hoodlums coming down here. Rayman hated to leave Patilla and Lee, but he had no choice but teleport out with Musician and the mask. After a while, the audience started to applause. Does someone have a applause sound alert in soundboard?
Hold on.
There we go.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'd say that was a pretty good show. Pretty good show.
Everyone around Nalagus, namely Professor Bronco, his third clone, Razorbeard's sidekick, I'm assuming it's the Spyglass Pirate, and Toots. Who's Toots? Is this a new character?
At Hoodlum headquarters, the voice thingy.
Oh, that's
voice.
that's her name actually.
Yeah, Andre calls her Toots when you reach the machine.
Oh,
I'm not sure if that's an official name or simply just.
It is
I
like
think that
Andre
was-
calls her in the game. Or,
I just assumed that was a nickname.
knew that he was soon going to be really, really pissed off and back to safe distance. Mr. Dark left Nalagus when it realized the same thing. Soon his feet started to stretch unnaturally in unnatural positions, growing and shrinking without control. Finally, his feet returned to their normal shape and size, but they were still so hot, Nalagus had to jump around the ritual room they were in. That's a funny mental image. In pure rage, Nalagus jumped around, shot random bolts of lightnings to walls, and shouted various unprintable words. Oh shit!
What could have gone wrong?
Wondered Bronco while Nalagus raging all over the place. Raging all over the place.
Even though none of the members of the Culture Council were present, we still had good connection on Rayman's. What the fuck is that sentence? Well, yeah, I know. Well, it could also mean that there was a mind that didn't concentrate hard enough. You know, someone weak-minded.
Excuse me? Said Toots, truly offended. I don't know what you're talking, said the original Bronco. I created you, so suggesting that I'm weak-minded makes you one as well. Not this again, mumbled Razorbeard's sidekick, frustrated.
With weak-minded, I meant a wimp, weakling, gutless. Why else are you always beaten, and I'm not?
I follow the rules. Sergei doesn't understand what's best for him and the rabbits. Silence! Nelicus interrupted them. He looked at four and started to calm down. You're all dismissed, except for Professor Bronco. All the others left, leaving only Nelicus, Bronco, and Mr. Dark in the room. I overheard from your clone that Sergei has been punishing you a lot, Nelicus said in a tone that radiated mild desperation. He has led me to understand you are just prone to accidents. Well, you know him, Bronco said nervously. He has had hard time in adjusting in this world. It's only natural that he's short-tempered when I remind about, I'm not blaming you from anything, said Nelicus while Mr. Dark went back on him. I am, however, blaming him and your clone from doing illegal things behind my back. But rabbits are my creations. They cannot do this to me. He cannot do this to me. There is no way. Say that you are lying. Well, You are lying, Nelicus yelled, clearly manic look in his eyes. It's not that bad, Bronco yelled, panic. He's just... However, Professor Bronco soon wondered why he even defended his master. Sure, hinting that Sergei practiced criminal activity seemed to make Nelicus even more frightening than when he was usually in a bad mood, but Bronco was sick out of that kind of treatment. He was a brilliant scientist, and far more intelligent than his boss. It was time to finally get the respect he deserved. There's no point avoiding it, he confessed while trying to calm down. He constantly disobeys you. I'm sorry, my creator, that my words have caused this much pain. It is okay, Nelicus said and uneasily calmed, but I want solid proof, and unless you have it, he is still pure in my eyes. Better focus on capturing Rayman for now. You may leave. Bronco was relieved when he left, leaving Nelicus in some rather grim thoughts. Although the situation wasn't completely hopeless, as soon Earth would be under his glorious rule. I am most proud, said Polycus after he had removed Nelicus's feet control for Rayman. Our victory is a half closer, and welcome to you as well, musician. Thanks, man, he replied. Now, before I go to retrieve the third mask, said Rayman, we need to find... He was, however, interrupted when Globox and Terrazan rushed through the portal that led to the jungle. They seemed to be quite injured. The jungle hideout was attacked, Terrazan informed. To be continued. Ooh.
I completely forgot that Globox existed.
Just completely absent throughout most of this chapter, so...
To be fair, a lot of this chapter is pretty Rayman 1 centric. Like, we got a lot of Rayman 1 characters in this chapter. So, it's understandable forgetting about Globox. But actually, now that you say that, it's like, what does Globox even do in this story? I don't remember.
Exist. I mean, he was almost forced to drown an entire land. I think it was the land of the living dead or something like that. Or
yeah, like he got captured because they wanted to use his rain dance abilities.
The flood.
Oh man, but yeah, that was a chapter. That was the chapter 6. A lot of old characters returning. We get some really good moments between Nelicus and his villain cronies yet again. And yeah, we're near the end of this story. Yeah.
I think we're at the last chapter.
Yeah.
At least the last published chapter.
Yeah.
Before the story was abandoned.
I want to point out how, the story got its start back in 2009. The final chapter came out in February 17, 2011. We're in the year of origin, basically, and it does make me wonder if, like, maybe the reason why the author stopped writing this story was because he had like such a specific idea of what his version of the Rayman universe is like, and then Rayman Origins came out and it was like, oh, this ruins everything.
I mean, they have a picture of the fucking Rayman Origins lum on their profile.
Oh yeah,
Unless that's like,
I mean, nowadays, yes.
yeah, that is true. It's interesting though because I don't use the Rayman pirate community. I don't have an account there, but I do notice how like there's something like called tings in their profile pictures, and I don't know what that means, but I'm assuming that tings are basically like indicative of experience in this community. Like this user has like 910 pings, while Respectful Art only has like 35. So I'm guessing that maybe Respectful Art hasn't been really that active for a very long time now, I guess.
I got it. From what I see, posts,
Hmm.
7.
7. Wow.
They only posted this.
Wow.
yeah. And then they vanished.
Ah.
Their work left incomplete.
So, final chapter of this incomplete story. Chapter 7. Wrong Master. It was surely a tough fight, but it, in the end, Razor Beers and Andre's lack of cooperation handed us the victory. And that was the time the reinforcements had to come. Instead of escaping and flying away from the city, we could have dealt with that unspeakable pair of scum once and for all. Wait, no, I'm not supposed to be vengeful. First, I poisoned Robot Pirate's food, and now this. In the past, I have never done something that low. In fact, I wouldn't even have fought so fiercely. The only thing I ever did was to give Rayman new powers without getting in combat myself. Who's speaking right now?
Apart food?
Or Batilda, I don't know.
What?
Yeah, she poisoned their oil with fucking
Water. With water.
Yeah, that would probably cause problem. She poisoned it with eggnog.
When this
Yeah,
has,
the fuck.
when this has started to happen? Of course, it started that fateful day when Mr. Dark managed to kidnap me. I was terrified. Fear and panic took control. What was worse, he closed me inside of a magical glass globe where I could barely move. I feel that I've lost. By the Great Proton. Oh yeah, I forgot they call it the Great Proton. By the Great Proton, perish the thought. I refuse to believe 2 captures have changed me for the worse. My bright innocence, my joyful nature, they haven't disappeared anywhere. But I have to admit, they haven't been present as much as they used to. I just want this all to end and have peace in our world. But now we must get to the Hall of Doors and join with others. Better to sneak to Fairy Council and ask Aunt Miozo's help.
So I guess that was Batilda speaking.
Yeah, I guess so.
All the, yeah.
As a reminder, Aunt Miozo is the long teensy character who may be a traitor in the previous chapters. Those several minutes that everyone kept telling the stories were confusing and definitely dropped the hero's morality meter. It's a new gameplay mechanic. Getting the second mask meant nothing when the rest of the Resistant members were either captured or missing. Apparently, the jungle hideout was ambushed by culture cops and anti-tunes right when Rayman and company was causing havoc in the Opera House. As grave as this news is, Polka said, I am afraid that the rest of the resistance is beyond our help for now. They were most likely sent to the prisons under Cultural Courthouse to await their trial. Ooh. I've never been there, but I've heard about its reputation, Terezan explained to Rayman. It's apparently filled with both confusing and lethal architecture and traps. That's nothing new to me, Rayman commented. But Polycus is there. Anything we can do right now for their freedom? Wait, what? Oh, I think is Polycus there right now? I don't know. Before Polycus could answer Rayman's question, Magician teleported himself to the Hall of Doors and seemed as worried as the rest of those who were present. Polygus. A grave development in events. Judging from the looks of your faces, my news will shift your moods from worry to miserable. What has happened? Everyone from the jungle hideout, except for Globox and Terrazon, are captured by culture cops, Rayman answered. Also, Batilla and Lee are who knows where. Magician's worry grew when he was thinking that piece of information. Well, now it's safe to assume that they are captured as well. The resistance Lee and Batilla met during the trip to Fairy Council was surprisingly minimal. Lee hated that because it usually meant that larger amount of resistance was waiting in some other spot. That, however, wasn't the only thing that made Lee wary. There's something odd going on. Why Fairy Council is the nearest place for teensies to be? I was unable to contact any teensy inside the city. It didn't even come to my mind to try to contact them, Batilla realized. If that's the case, maybe they left through the hall doors. Or they are unwilling to answer. Why they would be that? Well, it's just... Have you ever met King Atmiozo before? No, I only heard rumors about some long-lost king of some race I never even heard of, answered Batilla while pondering her orb. Eventually, I heard he had managed to escape. I also heard about that, said Lee, but I passed them as those false rumors Nellicus sometimes spreads. When I actually met him, I don't know, a teensy that is 3 times taller than normal suddenly appears. But perhaps I'm just paranoid. Both of the fairies were silent for a moment. Batilla was the first to break the silence. I had to ask this because you just made me seriously worried. When he started to have these doubts about Atmiozo, I think they started when I and Rayman met him briefly at the jungle hideout. He had this, what's that new term for an accidental reveal? Freudian slip? Exactly. He was about to say some name that started with teens, but quickly changed it to Fairy Council. He claimed he was about to say Teensy's hideout, and while that kind of slip was certainly odd, I believed it back then. But even I know that Teensies don't just have one hideout, they have several spread across the city, so they can teleport people to safety. The fact I was unable to contact any of them strengthens my doubts that Fairy Council is now called Teensy Council, concluded Batilla their thinking chain. Concluded Batilla their thinking chain. We had to get out of here. Yes, but you have to, but you can't. Set Atmiozo behind them. Oh shit!
Oh shit!
Batilla and Lee immediately turned and ready for the possible battle. I've noticed to have an amazing talent of appearing conveniently behind people, Atmiozo said. How dare you?
Impressive.
How dare you to betray your creator? Batilla asked demandingly. I haven't, Atmiozo answered as his eyes turned from black to bright yellow. I've always been a channel for his powers. Atmiozo's eyes flashed briefly with the very essence of darkness. Lee felt only the unpleasant feeling, but Batilla wasn't as lucky. She screamed and ran away, completely overtaken by fear and panic. Atmiozo turned to look Lee. Such shame that power only works once. After that, the victim becomes immune to it. But at least one fairy is easier to defeat than 2. Just what are you? Are you Nellicus himself? This made Atmiozo to ponder. I'm not quite sure exactly. I do have some of his personality traits, but I believe I am at least one separate entity. Atmiozo's thoughts about his origin were interrupted by Lee's magic blast. Atmiozo, however, quickly recovered, and by using Teensy's natural agility, he slid between Lee's feet and delivered a stunning kick to her lower waist. Lee fell on the ground, but managed to cast a binding spell to Atmiozo's feet. She slowly stood up and tried to levitate away. She, however, couldn't. One of the abilities I got during my creation is to neutralize any flying and levitating powers, and I still have more to surprise you. Lee concluded it was best just to run. Even if he did throw energy blasts, she could easily avoid them. However, when she was running suddenly, a small portal appeared before her, and she was violently stopped by Atmiozo's fists that emerged from it. Lee fell from the impact, but while lying on the ground, she made a magical shield to protect herself. However, Atmioso's hands emerged from 2 small portals and pressed against Lee's shield. Dark energy poured from them, making a hole in the shield. Then Atmioso's hands grabbed Lee's arms, lifted her up, and threw her rolling down a hill. Lee couldn't stand up anymore and had no other choice but to helplessly lay on the ground when dozens of teensies and dark electrons charged towards her to beat her unconscious. Jesus.
Holy shit. Gang violence.
Gosh.
Well, I admit his arrival felt odd at first, explained Rayman to Magician, but when every teensy accepted Atmioso as their king, it took all my doubts away. He managed to fool everyone, Magician said. At least it's fortunate that his mass suggestion spell doesn't work here. The 4 teensies that were present were sunken into their own thoughts. The betrayal of their own king was too absurd for them to be acceptable. One of them stated their common thought. The only reasonable explanation is that Aunt Miozo isn't a teensy at all. It's the only way this whole thing makes sense. It is, however, perplexing, Polycus pondered, how Nellicus would have been able to create such a being as only I could create teensies. Oh wait, it's Murphy. You wanna read Murphy's voice, Andre?
Sure. Assimilation!
Murphy yelled suddenly. Everyone turned to look Murphy, who was sitting next to Polycus. His mind still seemed to be somewhere else, and he couldn't quite control the volume and the rhythm of his speech, but his focus on his surroundings was clearer. Precisely on time, Polycus said. Quite soon, the mind of Murphy is back in order. Tell us more about this assimilation you just mentioned.
Assimilation, in the mentioned pre-context of the world, refers to a spell from the dark side of magic, where the caster can assimilate multiple life forms into one being. Whether cast on self or on somebody else, the caster will always be the commanding mind. Murphy, the Worldwide Dictionary, thanks you for your curiosity.
Everyone was silent and thought this new information. Rayman was one of the first to figure out Atmioso's true identities. There were only 3 teensies whose names he actually remembered. Otto, Romeo, and Gonzo! Glowbox completed Rayman's sentence. But they couldn't have done it by their free will, not after being so helpful with my stomach problems.
Damn.
The 3...
God.
Oh, so that's what Atmioso is. It's all their names combined. I see.
Oh my
That's
gosh.
actually pretty clever.
Wait, so is it literally? Does this mean that it's just literally like free teens like a trench coat sort of thing to make
That
the
would be
color?
that
Yeah.
if that's genuinely what's revealed, what the Ozo is revealed as, that'd be so damn hilarious.
Oh my god. The 3 teensies Rayman and Glowbox were referring to were witch doctors who had helped Glowbox to get Andre out of inner organs during the Hoodlum incident. No one in the crowd doubted the doctor's loyalty, and they probably didn't even have that kind of powerful magic. Wow, this is interesting development. We, however, had to go to the Teensy Council, said Magician, because no doubt Atmioso, or whatever that thing should be called, is planning something big. We cannot, however, go after him, them, or it yet, Polycus replied. That's the 3 doctors' pronouns. We need first to contact Vaharnos and get a new power for Rayman. I forgot about Vaharnos.
How could there be legends about him if he is a fusion of teensies that were living a few years ago?
I don't know.
Maybe this is what. Maybe Atmiozo was their original form. Then they got split up into 3 somewhere along the line.
Yeah,
Either
or maybe
that or just-
propaganda.
Yeah, either that or propaganda.
Can't you give that power? Rayman asked. No, only Vaharnos knows how. Besides, it will most likely be very helpful when facing Atmiozo. But as Magician said, let us be hasty, for who knows what sinister events are occurring at this very moment. And I'd like to also suggest that the teensies should stay here. Magician said. Nothing personal, but it's entirely possible that the Nutticus could charm you through Aunt Miozo. Teensies understood that. Good luck wishes, Rayman. Oh, wait, after good luck wishes, Rayman, Glowbox, Terrazon, and Musician left through a new portal. I noticed no one even remembered to ask where Varharnos actually is, Magician remarked.
It seems so, but I did have other matters in my mind. But it is no best to stop preparing.
Oh.
Wait, no, that is Jono.
Wait, what? Oh, that was Polycus speaking. Like, wow, Polycus, that was a good impression of me.
Sorry, I had something in my throat. Yeah, I'll do it.
Preparing for what, my lord?
Polycus got grimmer. For Nalgus.
It's sometimes it's sometimes pretty hard to figure out who is speaking.
Yeah. The instant the group of heroes arrived from the portal, Rayman remembered he had forgotten to ask for Polycus where they were actually sent. Oh man, I'm so stupid. Does anyone recognize this place? He asked. Although I admit, it looks somewhat familiar. The place in question appeared to be a dark, softwood forest in base of some round mountain that seemed to emit purplish blue color under the lights of several moons. They were on top of a small valley where at the bottom appeared to be a road that was leading to the mountains. This is clearly Blue Mountains, man, said Musician while wistfully watching around him. I should go to visit Ma and Pa. So wait a minute. Like, the Musician says Ma and Pa, like the mother and father. Is this the same musician from Rayman 1? Or is it their child that has grown up as a new musician?
No, they talked about him like earlier. Like that's the one Rayman freed the guitar from the rock and who gave him the potion.
Okay.
Musician number 2.
Musician number 2. Unfortunately, that must be left for better times, said Varharnos, while his astral projection appeared from the thin air. He seemed to be exhausted. Are you okay? Rayman asked. Thank you for concern, but I am fine, Varharnos answered. My apologies, but it was necessary to use my eyes and ears, despite your conversation with Magician. As I mentioned before, it takes lots of energy. No harm done, said Rayman, while his face said otherwise. But we must talk about our mission right this instant. I could give Rayman a power that can help in defeating Aunt Miozo, but unfortunately I need my body in order to do so. It was actually in safekeeping by Rion and Naila all this time. And they are coming. Oh my fucking god! And they are coming through here to their hideout, right? Asked Rayman, unsure did he want to beat his strained father in this kind of hectic situation. There is more. If you watch closely to the other side of the valley, you might see a group of culture cops. Somehow they know about the transportation of my body as well, and have come here for an ambush. They have apparently scattered across the valley. Rayman squinted with his eyes and could faintly see some movement among the trees across the valley. Well, it seems that we must... Where's Terrazon? Everybody looked around and soon noticed Terrazon at the top of the nearest spruce. He seemed to use its top to fling himself to the other side while yelling his war cry. He seemed to slam quite painfully against a spruce across the valley, but emerged out fine to match against the culture cops who had just pointed their attention to him. The rest of the group realized quickly this was meant for diversion, and quietly yet swiftly went to his aid. They managed to defeat the group, or that small that was still left in fighting condition, after Terrazon's treatment. Terrazon stood up, although he was still quite wounded from the battle. Yes, I know what you're going to say, Terrazon said, after seeing the mixture of amazement and annoyance on his friend's face. But at least it worked, right? They all heard distant rumbling caused by numerous culture cop feet, for Varharnos was clearly displeased. Incensed that there would be... Who's speaking right now? Incensed that there would not be that many ambushers to get my body, but are you sure you four can handle the extra troops? My power and estate are quite limited. Rayman was already starting to charge his fists. I guess we just have to try. The team of heroes were doing relatively well despite the size of the enemy forces. After a while, however, they heard several motorized machines coming towards them as well as war cries from culture cops. They all waited for the source of sound to come around the corner, and a moment later, a blue, box-like machine with 4 wheels and glowing lights went past them. Rayman startled, and Globox jumped behind a bush. "Relax, it's just a car," Drayson explained. "They cause horrendous noise, but they're a very handy way to travel." "At least the parents of Rayman managed to escape," Varhanos proclaimed. "Let us prepare for culture." Just then, they heard a loud crash from where the car had went. After a moment of shock, Rayman started to charge energy to his feet and ran towards the sound. "By myself," Varhanos said, worried. However, he cannot worry about that now. "Brace yourselves, the motorcycles are coming." Nice.
Hey, cars are dangerous. Zeta just posted the Asgore gif in chat.
God damn it.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, Globox was going to ask what a motorcycle is, but he doesn't know what a motorcycle is, of course. But soon, 22-wheeled loud machines with culture cops in their backs are coming towards them. Globox managed barely to resist his urge to hide again and was able to make a small cloud of rain. I love how this author's, like, Globox's main method of attack is summoning clouds, pouring rain. Like, this is a very, like, pre-origin style of writing for Globox.
Yeah.
I like the name. Cloud of Rain!
Cloud of rain.
Hammer of Shock.
Luckily, none of the
Jar
motorcycles
of
had proper
Slop
traction
of
control.
Jar.
But unluckily, the water of the road managed to bring down only 5 for back row. The rest of their opponents just drove past them. Globox was momentarily confused by the poor result of his efforts, but quickly realized his best friend was probably in trouble and started to clumsily run towards the sounds of fight. Everyone else looked at each other and ran after him. Rayman noticed a group of culture cops riding on 2-wheeled steel machines coming behind him. The riders were shooting with their guns that spawned bullets from which emerged robotic hands that tried to hit him with their hammers. Classic. For a moment, Rayman tried to wrap his mind around the concept and how it is possible his parents' car was wait, what? Hold on. What the fuck? Rayman tried to wrap his mind around that concept and how it is possible in the first place, but soon he had to make a sudden stop in order to focus on the things he saw in front of him. His parents' car was very much demolished against a gigantic purple stone foot. The owner of the foot caused a memory swarm. Rayman had met this hulking beast without limbs before during his first adventure. While in Blue Mountains, he had chased Rayman, and after a while, they matched their strengths in battle. If Rayman's memories were correct, they had parted as friends after a victory party, and since on top of this creature was none other than Professor Bronco Clone 3 with a remote control, it was quite clear he wasn't voluntarily serving Nelegus. Greetings again,
Cool,
Rayman.
really, the end of Mr. Stone's fight, living as a friend. He got his head replaced by surrounding rock.
Yeah.
Greetings again, Rayman.
Bronco Clone 3 said. Before Bronco Clone 3 could have said anything else, loud screeching noise was heard behind Rayman. He saw the 15 Culture Cop machine raiders who had just hit the brakes, and several of them were sliding towards him. Rayman also noticed that his parents were coming up for the car wreck, so he acted fast and pulled him and his parents to safety before the Culture Cop forces crushed against the car wreck. Miraculously, none of the cops did experience anything worse than unconscious. Well,
Well, damn. Nice destruction.
damn, said Bronco Clone 3, delightfully excited.
But seriously, guys, learn to drive.
Rayman was dragging his parents to safety. He noticed that Bronco Clone 3 was using the creature to pick a long wooden box from the car wreck. Rayman guessed it contained Varhanos' body, but when putting priorities in order, his parents were more important at the moment. Instantly, when the creature had grabbed the box, Bronco Clone 3 used it to run towards the mountains.
I just wanted a normal life. Was that too much to ask?
Oh, that was Rion
Oh, wait.
speaking.
Fuck
Rion's
that.
words made Rayman to look at him, but he was staring the sky, so Rayman wasn't entirely sure was his father talking to him. Besides, that was the least of his worries. You both stay here. Help is coming soon, Rayman said, and with that, he took one of the least broken motorcycles and drove after his opponent. Driving the motorcycle was a bit tricky at first, but Rayman had been used to control several kinds of vehicles before during his adventures, so he quickly got familiar with this new machine. It certainly came handy because it was much faster than its running ability, but he still had a feeling he should have grabbed a helmet from one of the injured culture cops. He just had to be lucky. Rayman saw that a running creature had a metallic box with Rabbit logo on his back. It looked similar that Clark had when he was under Robo-Pirate control. Rayman decided the first thing he would ask from Bronco Clone 3 after defeating was Clark's current whereabouts. Rayman loaded an energy ball and threw it at the box. The creature halted, and Bronco Clone 3 flew from his back. Then Rayman's face went horrified once he realized he had never driven any vehicle that has brakes, so he just jumped to the soft side of the road to let the motorcycle mash against a stone giant's feet. He turned towards Rayman while Bronco Clone 3, who seemed to be completely unharmed, was walking up the hill.
Yes, I can handle more damage than a regular rabbit.
He answered Rayman's unasked question and looked at him with delighted glee.
There certainly isn't any better time to test how Mr. Stone fights under my command.
Under Bronco Clone 3's remote control, Mrs. Stone threw the box where Farhano's body was against the nearby mountainside, breaking about half of the box. The still unbroken half slid on a ledge, revealing Farhano's motionless body. Rayman was absolutely shocked. Hey, have more respect for a god.
Sorry, but he's not my god,
said Bronco Clone 3 while making forceful thrusts with the remote control's joystick. I think they mean forceful thrusts, but okay. Mrs. Stone tried to hit Rayman, but he dodged and ran upwards the hill. However, Mrs. Stone jumped after him and tore a tree from its roots. He tried to swing it towards Rayman, who evaded while trying to get a good shot at Mrs. Stone's control box. Rayman decided to run along the road to mountains, and Mrs. Stone threw the tree at him but missed. When he jumped after Rayman, his eyes were greeted by a loaded energy ball in midair that temporarily blinded him and made him fall with tremendous power. Rayman shot numerous small energy balls to the control box while cursing the fact that Mr. Stone didn't land on his back. Mr. Stone stood to his non-existent knees and hit the ground, which caused a small blue lightning bolt that hit Rayman and made him fall. Rayman had forgotten Mrs. Stone could do that, and Rayman had wondered that in their fight too, he probably had small amount of magical skills. Rayman saw the Bronco Clone 3 to press the remote buttons filled with uttermost rage, and a second later, Mrs. Stone's hand took him into tight grip and pressed him against the mountain wall. It was hard to breathe, and what even worse, Mrs. Stone was raising his other fist. Rayman looked at the fist and could swear he heard hovercrafts humming for a moment. He wondered, was there a possibility for godly intervention, or were they just coming to get him to the other side? Instead of the end of everything, Mrs. Stone hit himself to the head and made him fall and lose his grip. Rayman climbed out of his fist and noticed that Globox, Terrazon, the musician, and Farharnos had surrounded Bronco Clone 3, who was lying on the ground and looked rather annoyed. Globox had a remote control in his hands and waved happily at Rayman. He looked at his friend and remembered that this was the third fight during his adventures when someone else had saved him from an absolutely hopeless situation. Even though most of his victories were a result of his skills rather than luck, he also appreciated these rare moments. It was comforting to know that he wasn't alone in saving the world from the forces of evil. Rayman shot an energy ball to Mrs. Stone's control box, chattering it. Chattering it? Mrs. Stone stood up and turned to look at him. Sorry, Rayman, for that. I wasn't my own self. No problem, Rayman replied. Wait, you were actually conscious during the whole fight? Yeah, it wasn't nice, Mrs. Stone said, and turned to look at Professor Bronco Clone 3. I want to have a chat with that little twerp. Me too, but let's not handle him too roughly. Really? Even after what he almost made me do to you? Well, someone has to be the good guy, Rayman snapped. Mrs. Stone smirked. Already embarrassed by the fact that this was the second time he had been under mind control, both of them decided to leave that subject and climb to the others. "Where's Clark?" Rayman asked when took a strong grip for Bronco Clone 3's long ears and lifted him up. Which Clark is he talking about? Clark the Giant or Clark the Rabbit? Who?
Who?
The clone asked. "Don't pretend you don't know." Bronco Clone 3 watched at Rayman's eyes and looked terrified. Rayman was unsure why. He didn't feel himself particularly threatening, but if the bad guy in question actually thought Rayman could seriously hurt him, why not use that false illusion as an advantage?
Yes, the big chin. He's in the prison. He's in the prison cells.
The clone answered. "Are you hiding something?" Rayman asked oppressively while looking that rabbit straight to his eyes while leaning more forward. Unfortunately, that didn't have the effect Rayman hoped, because as soon as his huge nose touched Bronco Clone 3's face, the rabbit sneezed, causing Rayman to go back to wipe his nose clean, and thus breaking the tension. Then Rayman started to hear hovercrafts like in the climactic end of his previous battle. Everyone else heard it too, which indicated there really was a hovercraft nearby. Their suspicions were confirmed when a hovercraft came behind the mountain, and by using a metallic claw, took Fajardo's body from the ledge. "No!" Fajardo yelled in desperation and tried to jump towards the hovercraft, but even in his astral form, he couldn't defeat gravity. The muscular driver in the hovercraft was limbless, but unlike Romanians, well, wait a minute, muscular driver but was limbless. Like, where's the muscle? Like, all in the torso, I guess?
Yeah.
But unlike Romanians, he had purple skin, and his nose was non-existent? Wait. The man's cap so deep in his head. Oh, okay. I got excited for a moment. I thought this was Ed. Damn it. No, it's the sergeant guy that gave the Grolgoth to Razorbeard. Okay.
I mean, it is still a Tonic Trouble reference. To an
Sure.
extent.
By the way, Anank is asking if you missed anything.
Nock, you missed a really epic battle between Mr. Stone and Rayman, and Farharnos' lifeless body was just flying around a moment. Oh wait, hold on. The muscular driver in the hovercraft was limbless, but unlike Romanians, he had purple skin and his nose was non-existent. The man's cap so deep in his head, his eyes couldn't be seen, and his fine outfit was decorated with medals. While hovering out of reach, another metal claw came out of the craft, and it was holding a camera. It targeted to Farharnos, and with flashing lights, it took a picture. "The chief judge requested a memory for this moment," the man explained to the hovercraft speakers. With that, the hovercraft speeding up and flew away. Everyone went to Fajarnos, who was still looking at the sky like a father whose child had done something irredeemable.
Yeah.
"Who was that man?" Rayman asked. "He was a Hurlanian, although they do not themselves by that name anymore," answered Fajarnos in a tone that radiated disappointment and anger. "I created them 10 millenniums ago. I let them develop their own language and culture, only briefly appeared to them in the beginning so they could end up worshipping me. And how did they thank me for creating them? By turning to the side of Nelicus at the first chance. But I guess that could be expected from a conqueror nation that's led by lawyers and bureaucrats." Rayman and his friends didn't have anything to say about that. None of them knew what it was like to be a god. The Hurlian, who you just saw, is one of the top generals in her army. Rayman may remember a machine he sold to robo-pirates. Gorgoth? Gorgoth. No.
Oh no. Oh no.
It was
Goth
Igor. It was used by Razorbeard to fight against him during their first invasion. Rayman remembered that battle and how tough it was. He wondered, did the Hurlian general work for only money, or was he neutral? But those thoughts vanished quickly when he heard Bronco Clone 3's mocking laughter that was occasionally interrupted by his yells of pain. He was rolling down a cliff, which was one of those rabbit things where people had to stop and think, was that actually really clever or just plain stupid?
You are doomed to fail. You couldn't prevent me from escaping. My genius surpasses a god. Hold on. Something went in.
The heroes watched as the clone rolled down to the bottom of the chasm, walked away like nothing had happened, and pulled a mobile phone out of his ear. None of them wanted to know how he even managed to hide that in there. Hey, people and God, Musician said. Oh wait, that's Musician. Hey, people and God, Musician said. We can't do anything else here. Rayman took your mama and papa to my hometown that's hidden quite nearby, so we should go there and think. What you say, man? In that situation, everyone agreed to do as Musician suggested and walked away in mixed thoughts. Polycus and those who were with them waited for Nelicus' arrival. They were unsure could only 6 magic users be able to hold Nelicus back, but there wasn't anything else they could do than wait. Now that we have prepared, could you tell why do you think Nelicus knows about this place? Magician asked. A small detail to tell Rayman about the artistic theater bothered me. He said he managed to disconnect his feet from the rest of his body, but I know that trick does not succeed if the god in control is in the same room. Rayman managed to do it when this Durana character had become unconscious. Of course, he had not thought to do that until she passed out, but you can never be too sure. Wait, does this mean it's not even certain that Nelicus is coming here? Asked one of the teensies. I admit that it is likely as well. However, it is equally likely that Durana is a goddess or a powerful mortal who has some godlike powers, and that she may in fact been able to spy us for this entire time. Polycus turned to Magician. Since you are almost part of Culture Council, you know her better than any one of us here. Tell me everything you know about Durana. Before Magician could say anything about everyone's attention was focused on a portal that was opened by skeletal hands. Do you promise to tell me after the battle? Or is that Polycus speaking? Do you promise to tell me after the battle? If it's possible, Magician answered unsurely. I'll ensure it is not, traitor, Nelicus said when he opened a portal, allowed massive groups of robo-pirates, hoodlums, and rabbits to charge towards them. To be continued. And
Never.
Cool, I can't wait to see what happens to Magician. I hope he doesn't die.
Yeah, that is the final chapter of Rayman the Culture Evolution. What a fucking cliffhanger to end this story on.
And halfway through it too.
Halfway through.
And we will never know how it ends. That's
Wow.
We'll never know if Andre gets his Gorg off.
So, like, I will say, it would be cool if someone, I don't know, tried doing like a fan continuation of this fan fiction.
All right. So, overall thoughts on Rayman the Cultural Revolution. What a really ambitious, creative piece of storytelling, I gotta say. Now, I do have issues with the story, for sure. Grammar is one of them. The way the story is sequenced and stuff is quite all over the place sometimes. But, you know, I am impressed by the amount of effort that this person put into the story. Like, it's amazing to me that they came into the Rayman pirate community and only made 7 posts just about this story, and it's like, what a story to
Then disappeared forever.
forever. Like, even they knew that the story was too good to be finished. Either that, or maybe Rayman Origins demotivated him to like continue the story, because it was like, oh well, Origins contradicts anything I put down below. So honestly though, like, that's a possible explanation, but you could totally just come up with an excuse like, oh yeah, just imagine that Rayman Origins and Legends doesn't exist in my continuity, and you know, I don't know, like, I think it could be a case where the author just kind of lost motivation, especially on such a dramatic note like this. It's like, how do you continue this?
Yeah, it's possible that they simply just had other stuff to do. Things caught up, and eventually they just didn't really have much motivation to continue the story.
I don't know how old this user was, but I have to assume either they're about to become an adult or they're young adults. Like, I don't know. Like, we just don't know much about this author, and the fact that, like, anytime I look up respect for art on the internet, it really is just like his posts on this forum site. And he actually does have a fanfiction.net account where he has actually posted his story on that site, which, you know.
When?
Oh, actually, fun, interesting fact. So there, like I've sent you a link like a while ago, Rift.
Yeah.
But like, we found the original like Rayman Zone page for the fanfiction.
Oh!
Yeah, like because this was apparently originally first posted on Rayman Zone, and I was able to find the page at some point, and I sent it to Rift.
About the comment you made about the person's age, they're probably at least around ours, seeing the level of writing. There may be a bit more than 10 back then, which is already older than me at that time. So they're probably getting close to their 30s.
It doesn't seem like English was their first language, or maybe they just didn't know how to spell certain words and stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like the writing itself, though, the grammar for the most part is all right, but there were some little hiccups I noticed.
The most obvious hiccup with the writing is just how things are described in, like, besides being kind of written in a somewhat stilted way, there's a very common, like, quirk of they never describe it as they went to the place. They describe it as they went to place. There's very few thes used to describe something. Yeah, I mean, overall though, like, you have to remember that this story was written as the author puts it. For those who don't know, this was made with thought. See, this is what I mean. Like, he could have said, for those who don't know, this is made with the thought, you know, of. If I were the lead singer of Rayman 4, this is what it would look like in my mind. This is the author's version of Rayman 4, basically. I can totally understand what he's going for here. He wants to make like a Rayman game that basically connects to every other Rayman game. Like, every character, every past moment, all of it will be like referenced and acknowledged, and it will be a very significant focus of what drives this narrative forward. Which is funny to think about when you look at Rayman Origins by comparison, which really doesn't do that. Yeah, I don't know. It's just a really fascinating story, and you know, the fact that this story is so obscure, like, it's so obscure that, like, if you look up Rayman: The Cultural Revolution on Google right now, the first result is actually my video of the reading of this story. Like,
It is.
yeah. Like, I'm not saying, like, oh man, I'm doing this story a service by, you know, giving it the attention it never had, but it's like, you know, it's like most people probably don't know about this story. I think it's safe to say that there's more than like 100 people now that know about this story because of my video.
And who knows? Maybe after all these streams, someone might actually, you know, take up the task of writing a continuation of it. I wouldn't mind seeing that.
If I was motivated enough, if I wasn't already preoccupied with my own weird Rayman fanfic and also wanting to write a more serious story in the future, like, I would gladly want to continue this story, and I would even go the extra mile and like try to replicate all the weird writing quirks of the story. You know, like, as funny as it is to read, you know, that is a part of its identity. You know, it's unique. But yeah, I think that's basically all I have to say about it. I mean, I could go more to specifics about like what even happened in this story, but I feel like we already kind of did that through just, you know, reading through it. So I guess I just want to ask, what do you all think of this story?
I kind of got invested actually.
Yeah.
It's odd, but it kind of works.
I will say this right now. In terms of just the original villain of the story, Nelgus, I really like the idea behind him as a character. Like, we've we've already said a lot about how like this story like tackles themes that you could perceive as like fascism and gentrification and stuff. And it's honestly interesting to me just reading how this villain fits in the greater context of the Rayman universe. Like, it's such a wild villain to be like this, who has such a really hyper-specific idea of what art and culture should be, and has dedicated to making a whole villain group out of like what it means to, I don't know, create culture basically. Like, as a Rayman villain, it's a very fascinating direction to go with. Like, I don't think it's impossible to have a villain like this in a Rayman universe. But honestly, like, I think in general, like, this villain could work really well in the context of like any type of 3D platformer, really. Like, I kind of want an indie game to have this kind of villain and story, if I'm being real. Like, this feels very much like, oh yeah, I could totally see this in like an indie 3D platformer game. Like, it's so like, because it is like, inherently speaking, it does kind of reach towards a more socio-political territory that like most other gaming franchises don't usually do, and it's something you only really see in like the indie space, really. Gosh, Rayman the Culture Revolution, I have nothing else to say about it other than it's fascinating, and I hope to spread more awareness of the story in all the servers that I'm in.
Wowzers, guys. That was certainly a story about fascism.
And to think it all started with Showen finding the true origins of Barranco Free.
Yeah.
You mean Barranco 4?
True.
Like, that's the funny thing. It's like it's technically not even Professor Bronco 3, you know? You know, actually that's kind of weird to think about, because it's like, you know, the story made some really big swerves with like Rayman's canon and stuff. But I'm genuinely curious, like, where did this author even came up with the idea of, oh yeah, this character from Rayman Raving Rabbids has a clone? Like, where did that even
And
come
three
from?
of them, no less.
One theory is that it might have come from the fact that obviously, actually, there's a few theories that that I remember. First of all, there's one that where there's two Broncos that appear in one of the Raving Rabbids 1 minigames.
Oh.
And then another theory that suggests that, you know, you have the video game Bronco, and then you have that Professor Bronco from one of the CGI trailers or like promotional material, I think. That design looks slightly different, so I think some people interpreted that as like a second Bronco. Yeah, those are the two main ones I know of.
Yeah. I just think it's kind of funny to think, like, of all the things that happen in this story, like, for some reason, well, then again, like, this story also had this whole thing of, like, oh yeah, there's two Mr. Darks, and, like, Mr. Dark is actually, like, the dark essence of this new villain character, and also Mr. Dark is an it, or something, like, so I guess, like, I don't know, like, in terms of that, having a clone of Bronco isn't that outlandish for the story. And if it is based on, like, some potential theories from, like, way back in the old forum days, then that tracks. Yeah.
Can't wait for the art of Ozzy. Yeah, can't wait for that fan art.
I do want to make art for some of these characters the best that I can. I don't even know what the fuck Rayman's parents even look like. I don't think the story really described how they look. But yeah, this was really fun. I'm glad to have finally finished this story after like 3 weeks of absence. I hope you all have a good rest of your weekend and take care.
You too.
Yeah. Bye bye.
Good
You too.
bitch.
Bye.